Still images are a wonderful addition to many video projects, whether they be photographs, graphics, titles, or other items. In this movie, we're going to take a look at how to work with stills in the context of a video environment. Before actually bringing in the images, just want to discuss a couple of still image related preferences. I'm going to come up to Premiere Pro, Preferences, and then Timeline. So I'm going to come to the still image duration, and by default it's set to 5 seconds, which in a 30 frame per second project is 5 seconds, and in 24 per frame second project is about 6.25 seconds. So you can change this what you want, but I actually wouldn't worry about this much, because when you're working with stills, you can always make them shorter or longer in the timeline by trimming them in or out. So I'll just say OK. Here, and let's bring in our stills. So first I'm going to select the stills bin. Here I have my stills. And I'm going to use my media browsers to navigate. They are here, located here. You can switch to a thumbnail view. In case you want to have a better look at what are these stills. So we can pick and choose which images we bring in, and we can filter these. Here's filter. Right now it's a look to support all the files. If you wanted to look at our JPGs, for example, we can choose that. But let's go ahead and bring them all in. So lasso all, and right click and import. So here we have the stills, and the column we want to make sure that we took the right way, add video info here. I click here, metadata display on, and then twirl down. Then come to video info. Just type in video info. Okay, I have this on. It's already checked, so it is just downstream here. Go ahead and give OK. And this will show the resolution of the images here. Just give it here back. Alright, so I'll just scale this back right so, and okay. Look at the smallest one, which is 1280 by 720, and the largest one is 6000 into 4000. There are actually other very large images, and the beauty is working with stills. Working with this large resolution is a great benefit of video project. Alright, so I'm going to press tilde and minimize. Let's talk about editing into this timeline. So I'll just press to the back again. Well, as we know, Premiere Pro sets up sequence settings by the first clip that you drop into the timeline. So one tip is that have this, instead of dropping a still image in first, you should edit a representative video clip in the first, and by that mean it's been a video clip that matches what your footage is, and this sort of locks your sequence settings. So you don't set up a sequence that is 6000 by 4000 pixels. So I have this representative video clip here. Just click and drag there, and I'll just go ahead and delete this video clip. It retained my sequence settings. You can see this by coming up to the sequence and then sequence settings, and here you can see it has been set up appropriately. We have 1920 by 1080 and 23.976 FPS. Everything looks good. Alright, so I'm gonna rename my sequence. Double click here, tilde. Sequence, I'm renamed this as stills. And now I'd like to start editing in some of my stills so you can see how everything works. I still want to see my video info tab, so I'm going to just press tilde and drag that back in here. So first thing I'm going to do is actually edit in a still image that matches my video resolution. So I have a few of those, and this is the brown butter donut. I'll just bring in that image, and we're changing the entire thing because it has 1920 by 1080 pixels. If I double click on this, you can see that the wireframe here surrounds the video frame. Let me just go over to the effect controls. If you don't see this, you can go to the window menu and access the effect controls clicking on this, or you can give a shortcut Shift 5. So if I wanted to zoom in on this, I could not too much. Beyond 30-35, things could start to begin to look soft. But you can see that when we have an image that matches our video resolution, we do have some flexibility on scaling and position. So I can scale up to that up, and I can adjust the position if I wanted to in this program monitor. I'll just give a 10%, 25% here. And here it's a little bit hard to work with. You can change this from fit to 25%, I guess. And you can move that right like so as well. Now you have the ability to drag this around as well as rescale it like so. And I can reset those values just to set this back in. Alright, so that is a pretty cut and dry. Now let's start editing images that don't match our sequence settings. I'm going to come to a very large image here. So the one with the 6000 by 4000 pixels. And now put it here, and let's go and take a look. And we can see that we see a very small portion of this image. Again, gonna press tilde to maximize, and let's just change this to 10%. I just undo that, and here let's just put this to 10%. So you can see that this is 1920 by 1080, and this is 6000 by 4000. We have the ability to look at any part of the image as we want. And we have some tremendous scaling possibilities. Okay, so we can really zoom in and retain great detail. Alright, so let's just minimize this, and say we wanted to look at the entire image, and there's a shortcut for that. You can right click on this and set to frame size. So we'll set the image here. Don't do scale to frame size, it will reduce our resolution possibilities. But set to frame size, and look like we are not centered here because we will be moving things around. So let me just adjust positioning. All right, and so you can see here that things are centered now. We're seeing the entire image, and then on the left and the right we have black pillar boxes. Pillar boxing or letter boxing, if it was on the top and the bottom, is a Premiere Pro's way of keeping the shape exactly as it should be while fitting the image within our video frame. So just to draw your attention to scaling, we have done the scaling at 27%. We have a lot of flexibility exactly how we want this to look at this image. So in order to eliminate that pillar boxing, I might want to zoom in a little bit. There. Now this looks fine, but there are some images where if you zoom in, it's not going to work. So let's just take at the stills in the icon view. And if I want to take a look at this one here, has a large resolution here. So just double click here. I use a sequence. This is a sequence I made up here. It's called Pink Donut. So now I'm going to use this pink donut, place it here. Let's expand this and go about 10%. Right click, set this to frame size. So you can see we can take a look at any part of this donut stack. We can rescale or as needed, but I'm gonna go ahead and assume that we want to take a look at the donut stack here. Right, so the entire donut stack I want to see into the frame size. So I'm going to just right click and set this to set to frame size. And let's go back to the fit right now. Again, I have pillar boxing, but I want to draw your attention to the fact that isn't really black. If I go back to my video clip, here's my video clip. and much of the time you're going to working with video images. You're using it as b-roll over video. So if I bring this video clip to my v2 here, and I'll put this image here, you can see through that it isn't black, it's transparent. So I could of course fix that by scaling up, but if we wanted to see that entire donut as a stack as a b-roll, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to come over to the option new item. I'm going to choose this color matte, matches our sequence settings. Go ahead and give OK. So you can pick a color of black is good and say OK. You can call it as black matte. And let's bring this up, and then we will bring this over. And now you can see that I have a black background. Just delete that, bring this over, and now I have proper black background. So when you're working with stills that have a different aspect ratio or shape as your video frame, you want to see the entire still, and you're going to work with these color mattes. Last thing I want to show is bringing in an image is with rather smaller video resolution. So let's take a look at a 1920 by 720p image, this one. So you have to be careful when you zoom in a smaller image. Things can get pretty soft and pretty quickly. As you can see here, you can do a set to frame size on smaller images as well. It is just going to scale it up as appropriate. So I'll right click on here and set to frame size. Now it is scaled up to 150%. If I double click, you can see that the wireframe here kinds of fit directly around the video frame. If I maximize here, it looks pretty good. Fit. Looks pretty good. And we could use this 1280 by 720 image in a 1920 by 1080 project without a problem. So this was a sort of touching the tip of the iceberg in terms of working with stills in a video environment. It's a lot like working with the video, but there are definitely a few additional things that you should be aware of while working with stills. Now that we know a little bit about the properties of still images in the video project, let's go ahead and use them to edit a basic sequence. We don't need the black matte because we're going to use the animation here. Let's go ahead in here and give a ripple delete. Okay. So when we edit with stills, we're often going to add just a bit of movement in the form of pans and zooms. So let's take a look at how to do this. So I have a sequence that contains just music. So now let's add our still images. I can find those images in my images bin. I'm going to grab all of them and bring this over. Now I should say that I did set the sequence resolution to be 1920 by 1080, which again I did by dragging a video clip into the sequence and then deleting it. That will set my sequence settings because of these images have a resolution far greater than 1920 by 1080. You can see that these are pretty zoomed in. I'm only seeing a little bit of them in the frame. Start off by selecting all of them and selecting all of them, and right click, set to frame size. So now all of my images are contained within the video frame and everything's sized correctly. But now we are not going to leave it this way. Again, we're going to pan and zoom over these images to give them more visual interest. Before I do that, however, I am going to change the length or duration of each of these clips. They have come in at 5 seconds apiece. You can check that by looking at here. Alright, so that's 4 seconds and 23 frames, which is essentially one frame less than 5 seconds. If I want to change all of these to a different duration, I can use Control R and I can type in the duration. So if I want them all to be 4 seconds, I can type here 400. And then I want to make sure to choose ripple, delete, shifting, trailing clips. And let me just uncheck first and then show it. You can see what happens if this is not selected. So this time I'm going to go ahead and give OK, Control R, type 400 again. I'm going to check mark this again, and now I have new durations of all my clips without the gap. So that's a possibility. Again, let me just undo that. Instead of setting a uniform amount, I just want to edit to the beat. So do that. So I'm going to clear in my in and out point. We're seeing Alt X, and I'm going to perform a little bit of top and tailing editing. Set myself, I'm going to lock this track here, audio track, because I don't want to touch that. Let me just demonstrate what top and tailing editing is. When I have a playhead parked in a shot and I press Q, it's a top edit, which means that it will top off the beginning of the shot to the playhead. Let me just undo that. When I perform a tail edit, it'll press W. It tops off the end of the clip, or from the playhead to the end of the shot. Let me just undo that. I'm simply gonna play the sequence and perform tail edits on the fly. So every time I want a shot change, I'm simply gonna press W in the way. So I'll go ahead and play the track. Alright, so it's pretty easy to edit to the beat in the Premiere Pro while using top and tailing editing method. Unlock my music track now, and let's just trim this back to that portion like so. The same as the duration as the video. We'll zoom in and let's start adding movements to the images. So first shot we selected. Let's go to the control panel here. Okay. Effects control, select this guy. Again, if it's not there, just go to the window and effect controls, and here you want to make sure that the motion category is scrolled down here. Here is a series of built-in effects, and pretty every single clip in the Premiere automatically has. So we're going to take advantage of this. The two parameters in here that we're going to work with specifically to pan and zoom are scale and position. Some of these animations will just involve changes in position, and some of them just in scale, and some of them both. For this one, I think I would like to rescale this image so that we don't see any color boxing, and then just pan slowly down. So I think this is going to be a change in position, and so let's change the scale for the entire image for now. Right, like so. Right now I want from top to bottom animation. So let's keyframe our position here, and at the end I want let's go back here. The end, I want this to just scroll down through the donut. All right. And you can see that did a few things. First, it added a keyframe button here, and it also selected a keyframe where I had parked my playhead, and then it went back again to the original position. So let's just move the position, maybe starting at the chocolate donut. And I should probably delete this and set this. This would be a rather simpler and proper animation. If you use the down arrow key, it is going to the next clip, but it actually goes to the first frame of the next clip. And then I use my down arrow key and press left arrow key, and that is the last frame of this clip. Now I can add another keyframe and change the position. I'm gonna move to the vanilla donut. We see that we have 2 keyframes, and we have different position and values for each of those. So I'm gonna select these 2 guys and make this animation rather smoother. So right click, Bezier, and this guy as well, Bezier. So that made it more smoother. So down arrow key. And this guy, I'm gonna scale this up a bit to fit in here, and position this guy. Down arrow key, left arrow key, and I'll shift the position just a bit. Also, you can scale this up if you want, because it has a lot more scaling potential here. So maybe you want to use scale here, alright, like so. And in this position, maybe just you can use double click and move this guy here. Maybe you can use this button here. Okay, so from here to next position will be this pink donut at the last. So alright, so let's take a look how this looks. Right, so this is a little bit off, so I'll just copy this and paste it on this guy. Right click, paste, so it stays the same. So I'll change just one value, that is the okay, so it stays in the line. Okay, also I'm gonna choose this Bezier and Bezier for this guy as well. So alright, moving on to the next clip. We will scale this up. Set it right like so. Maybe a little more scaling makes it look more pleasant. So let's just take it from here, from red donut to the end of the donut. So from position 1 here, I'll down arrow key and the left arrow key. So go ahead to the last donut, maybe 2, 3 are fine, I guess. It's gonna make it too fast of an animation if you show too much. So go temporal, Bezier, right click on this, temporal, Bezier again. Next we have this guy. So just press up arrow key and select this guy. Just scale this up a bit. This has way too many possibilities because it is that 6000 into 4000 resolution image. So maybe I'll just zoom it to 100% and then zoom out to something that's more visible. Alright, so use the scale and down arrow key, right arrow key. And this time I'm going to go back here. Alright. Use this guy, Bezier, right click, Bezier. Alright. Next we will have this up arrow key and we'll have a little bit of zoom in here. Select this guy and scale this. Move to the end, down arrow key, left arrow key. Just a bit of a zoom. Alright, right click, Bezier, right click, Bezier. So now let's check out this, guys. It's 150%. And we will animate this and just a little bit because we don't have much data on this guy. So I'm going to use scale a little bit and move to the end of the clip, right arrow key, and zoom just a tad bit. Right click Bezier, right click Bezier. Now I'll just press down arrow key, up arrow key, and use the scale for this one as well. Down arrow key, right arrow, now left arrow key, and just a little bit of zoom here. Alright, select this, Bezier, right click, Bezier. Alright, so this will be pan effect, will be much better option here. Or maybe from zoom out to zoom in will be better. 150 zoom in. Okay, so up arrow key to begin the clip, 150 down arrow key, right left arrow key, and bring it back to 100. Also reset the position. Okay, so this will be the animation. Right click here, Bezier, right click, Bezier. This has 150 scale, so not much in here. Press this key and go to the end, just a little bit scale. Okay, also Bezier here, Bezier here. Alright, so let's just play through this and take a look. I'll just maximize this, fit, and play. Now again, there's a quality loss because I have 1/4 of quality instead of full, but I'm happy with this moments, so I'm gonna go ahead and give render for this.